Some celebrated while others wept as the results of a historic referendum in Colombia began to come in. People had been asked whether or not they backed a government-negotiated peace deal with the FARC rebels to end 5 decades of conflict, but they voted no. The results were extremely tight, with the no side scraping through with a mere 50.21% of the vote. Well, amidst the shock and confusion, the president has assured the public the ceasefire will continue. He's also promised to pursue a new deal. Well, Sandra Gathmann joins us now from Colombia's capital, Bogota. Sandra, hello again. Well, this did come as a complete shock as all the signs pointed to a yes win.
Absolutely, Kamali. This has been 52 years of war, more than 30 years of failed peace talks. There have been 7 attempts before to bring this conflict to an end, and more than 4 years of negotiations under the presidency of Juan Manuel Santos to wrap up this final agreement with the FARC. So, understandably, many people had their hopes on this deal. The accord was signed in a grand ceremony in Cartagena. Foreign dignitaries were there. President Juan Manuel Santos shook hands and signed the accord with the leader of the FARC. The leader of the FARC himself asked for the forgiveness of the victims of this conflict. Everyone thought the yes camp was going to win. All the polls suggested they would win. And so the victory for the no camp is a shock, but also the fact that both camps were so close and it was such a tight result. Now, we attended both the yes and no rallies after the results came in, only an hour after polls closed, in fact. And there was, of course, joy, there was, of course, dismay, but overall there was a sense of disbelief for both sides.
They didn't expect to lose. A peace deal with the FARC had already been signed, and polls signaled a majority of Colombians were ready to support it. What they saw instead was a rejection by less than 60,000 votes.
The big cities where war didn't affect people as much, that's where this decision was made for the rest of the country. It says a lot about how selfish a big part of the country is.
Despite the result, we are still one nation, but this moment dashes any kind of hope.
All signs indicated this plebiscite would be approved by a majority of Colombians, but the result was incredibly tight. Here in this square, where supporters gathered to hear those results, there was shock and a lot of sadness. But most of all, there's a feeling of uncertainty.
There was a different kind of disbelief at the headquarters of Colombia's opposition party. They see a chance to renegotiate more concessions from the FARC. Some are even calling for President Juan Manuel Santos to resign. It's a huge blow for the president, who recently paraded the peace accord on an international stage and pinned his legacy on ending the conflict.
Everyone, without exception, wants peace. That's how they have expressed it. Tomorrow I will convene all political parties, in particular those who rallied for the no vote today, to listen, open dialogue, and determine the path forward.
The FARC have also agreed to continue talks in Havana.
The FARC maintains its willingness for peace and reiterates its position to use only words as weapons to work towards the future. To the Colombian people who dream of peace, you can count on us. Peace will win out.
It may be another long wait before Colombia's historic moment truly arrives.
Well, Sandra, you touched on it there in your package. Just explain to us how political this has all been, given the fact that former President Uribe was leading the no campaign.
Very political, and it's a huge blow to President Santos because he made the pledge about 1.5 years ago when he ran for president to end this conflict, and his legacy is going to ride on the success of this peace deal. Now, it doesn't seem that they're going to start from scratch when they renegotiate this accord in Havana in several weeks' time, but it does appear that it's going to be more difficult this time around because the president has to take on board the message that was sent today by half of the Colombian voters who said no to this peace deal. Obviously, they want other concessions that his government weren't able to fight for in Havana all these years. But that's something he has to consider if he wants to be the president that listened to his people.
Okay, Sandra, for now in Bogota, thank you.